I would argue if it's not subjectively being experienced, it doesn't matter what it is. And in the end, will become even more so and as important as it is extrovertedly, we even seem to be more important introvertedly. The experience of freedom, rather than some kind of objective measure. I hope eventually someday all of society will become, instead of objectively oriented, will stop that folly. Because they do it at their own expense. They're helped to do it because they're all breeders. To create literal babies and put the energy outside yourself. You're all interested in their literal upbringing and all that. So all extrovert, 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 on and on and on. That's what the parents say. I'm sacrificing for you, they say to the kids. I'm doing it for you. I created you so I can help you grow up. As if it's all about the children. And they're taking it back, taking it back, taking it back. At the same time, it's the racket they run. It's called breeding. Now, if you're a homosexual child, you get screwed all the more because you can't give them back as much as they would want. Not that anyone can satisfy them. But especially queer child is going to have an especially hard time of doing that in terms of their narcissism. I'm saying all parents are narcissistic. I'm saying that's the way it's set up to be. Vis-a-vis their own progeny, their own offspring. How does that get undone? Ultimately, it's being described as an individual task, self-development, self-realization. But it certainly is something that many of us have had a substantial experience with, though that can be engaged in a collective way, when that can be worked on with folks who have similar interests. The results can be supportively most bouncing off each other of interest versus all alone, just one trying to attempt something like this singly. So having gone through many forms of trying to encourage and promote further inner gay liberation after discovering how important it was for myself to be more so that way, all the permutations that have been alluded to here by the presenters, but not really specified, except that some folks mentioned the screamer group a little bit. There have been various permutations of trying to get this stuff vis-a-vis folks who want to come more into it in a serious way. And this is, as the presenters have mentioned, the most focused, serious attempt yet. Not only does it include, as I alluded to earlier, not only does it include the training seminar at this pre-candidacy level, but a less committed level, I'm calling that informally pre-trainingship level of training. And when you want to formally, if you get that involved with it, it'll be formal, more formal level, you have to sign a consent form, it's confidential, it's much more intense and programmatic. That's what we call in pre-candidacy. That's the serious level that we're really focusing on. That's what the guys are presenting on. The Module A and Module B are about that. Eventually we'll have a more advanced stage with its own kind of seminar for folks who've reached a further advanced level called candidacy, who are worked with this enough, or in the position of someone like a Dustin, who can become more practical, assistingly engaging with the process vis-a-vis those who would like to learn more about this, have not had so much substance of encounter and engagement at this raw, challenging, but very productive level. Because the guys are talking about it as we are interested in providing vis-a-vis the advanced training program. Got any reactions to what I said, or any further comments about what I said?
Well, Mitch, actually, I feel incredibly mirrored by what you have just said, especially as you're invoking this challenge of what it's like to grow up as a homosexual child in this world that viciously hates you. I just feel so remarkably like something this kid in me has wanted to hear his whole life, and it just feels really good, actually, to hear that now. One thing I wanted to highlight that I thought was interesting. I felt a little shame earlier, Chris, when you mentioned about the training program is not just I hate you, and I'm glad you said that, because one of the things that I'm realizing is remarkable about the training program is this paradox between this interpersonal core process and the individual attention that each trainee is actually getting. That it seems like a really remarkable component of the program, because in how we're doing the supervision and how we're engaging ourselves around what each individual trainee needs in terms of this core process, I think that is having a huge cooking effect in terms of it's not just one size fits all at all. It's very much about each individual and helping each individual to be that individual. So that felt important.
Vis-a-vis their own personal issues.
Their own personal issues and their own personal potential.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I thought that was worth highlighting.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Richard.
I thought you clarified why we need an advanced training program. I think you helped provide the historical context for it. It's only by evoking the global nature of the trauma and the homophobia, I think that we can really understand what's at stake for me individually and for our community. So I really appreciated the context that you evoked when you did that.
And the passion.
And the passion.
Yeah.
Whoa. And the standing up for the people whose lives have been murdered and whose memories we have no memory of them.
No one would.
Right. You evoke that, their spirit somehow.
Okay. Well, this has been really intriguing. Well, you've gotten exposed to whatever you've gotten exposed to for the last, we've been at this a couple hours almost now. A little bit short of that. Perhaps there may have been some reactions, some thoughts, some considerations. If there might be any questions or things that want to feel like they might like to share or participate more actively in what we've been sharing.
Or act out.
Okay. Inviting people to act out some. Okay, if you like. And so on and so forth. We like to give an opportunity, because this is called a club, even though that may be obscure, eventually it does mean kind of interacting more and more in a social setting around these kinds of themes and topics, more and more substantially, not so much in a programmed way as in a social sense, a community sense, giving some space and energy for that, of which the formal part of the meeting is hogged up most of the time and energy. But I hope that gradually we can find more and more balance around that. Even though we set out the chairs and all in the little rows and everything, you're all facing these stupid little plastic things and have to sit your butts down for all this time. Nonetheless, I certainly appreciate you all as real human beings, as well as ourselves. What we're addressing is the humanity of all humanity, ultimately, and that certainly includes all of you folks. And so and I'm glad that we've not babbled on the whole time. We see what we might be able to cultivate, if anything, here interacting with the audience. If you all have any questions and reactions and stuff like that, we've got some time here to explore that. So I'm inviting anyone who would like to volunteer. Don't feel that you have to. And if you could possibly say your name if you get poked to go ahead. Let's see, anyone want to go with a reaction or some question or something? Yes.
Reaction.
Name.
My name is Brian. Roger, so something that you were saying about, kind of the evolution of the Institute and the training program, and I think the Screamer group, and it's just kind of there's a marked difference, I think, even in the pre-training program with Chris, that I think there was a way that I've been coming to these meetings for years that I didn't really feel like I knew anybody, but I think once I get into the pre-training program, I felt this other sense of, like, God, I've been seeing these people for years, but there's this mark for me about the level of intimacy that has been reached from being in that group and knowing everybody that's in there versus the club meetings. And I think that was further a theme was further taken when I think Doug, you said something about a newer way of thinking, or you had a new way of thinking or something about that. I don't remember what it was exactly. And it just, to me, it's these kind of markers of my own evolution of how I'm developing as I stay committed to the work. So it just feels really important to have that, and I'm glad that you kind of brought in the history just of the Institute in that way.
You're finding value in having a deeper relationship or connection with some of the people you've known. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think I have a hard time seeing my my own growth, maybe. It's hard for me to kind of see it. I feel sometimes just trapped in my trauma. I think even as I'm talking, I feel like there's always this I feel this kind of a dizziness. I think Doug had evoked that. I feel this kind of dizziness about I'm losing my sense of self. I don't know what's going on, and it just feels like I'm stuck in that state. So there's a way I think that kind of that's becoming less dominating, I guess, and I can see kind of I feel closer to people in the group, in the club, that I maybe I didn't feel in the Screamer group, or that I felt in the Institute meetings. But there's a real force and a real kind of commitment to kind of get it underneath stuff that feels good without it being kind of merging, maybe, or where I've lost my sense of self.
All right, okay.
That was it.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Any other reactions or comments about what Brian shared?
Well, Brian, it does sound to me like as you get more related with other people, as you're describing, you're actually getting more related with yourself.
So that's a way of reframing it, yeah. It's like I can feel that shame kind of shutting me down and dominating me and wanting to move on, I guess, to dismiss the trauma that I'm feeling. And I think as Mitch was talking, I kind of felt this similar, I remember this similar feeling about feeling kind of victim-y and stuck in it. And I was like, fuck that, like I don't want to get stuck in this place. Like I feel like that's the oppression, is like I get shut down and that I'm, I have to move on because what I have to say isn't important or as numinous as I'd like it to be. So I feel that, and it was hard to hear you, I guess. It was hard to hear what you were saying to me. I felt like I was just participating in this kind of, oh yeah, thanks Roger for doing it. And when underneath I was just feeling this, that's good, let's go on moment. It's hard to stay there and struggle with that. And I feel like that has been mirrored tonight.
Yeah, I think there's something really important about what you were saying about the way that the Institute is creating these formats to provide opportunities for people to have to struggle in this way that otherwise would, like what Mitch is saying, just get everything inside just kind of gets bombed out. We're just so used to being bombed out or exploited or crushed inside. So like you're appreciating the opportunity in this new form, especially in how you're talking about it, is in a much more differentiated way, and have different ways. How Mitch was talking about, you look at it from this perspective, and this person, it gives you another perspective, and this opportunity. You do it each week, every week for hours and hours, and it's just helps you stay with and learn how to cultivate relationship even more effectively with this kind of gay-centered psychological attitude, right?
And I think a lot of it is, I have to also see from that other perspective that I'm also creating the format of this group. That what's to say that I should just shut down and not pay attention to this place what format am I imagining that there's a panel up here that I can't engage and that there's real being in here also.
You're saying that you're creating the format by stepping up to the plate
Yeah.
and willing yourself to be involved.
So thanks for the opportunity to share.
Yeah. Huh, okay, thank you. All right, any other,
Yes.
I'm Danny. And mainly, I just want to, it's important that I say something because I've been having this really intense body experience throughout.
huh,
And a bunch of different stuff.